Today is another one of her episodes of the IBD Hub podcast. Today we have as a guest Eric Vernick. Hi, Eric.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you so much for being here. And today we're going to talk about innovation and how it can become a survival for your business. And the reason why we picked this topic this week is because from last week, we got a lot of feedback from people that either lost their jobs or have a company that has difficulties to survive in these moments. So Eric, you're probably the best person to give us some tips and some energy and positiveness in order to, bring people up. And this is why you're here. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your experience as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Giulia. I just love it to support and then to try to empower and share my story so everybody else can just take action and take the leap. That's one of the keys. Eric Vernick, misfit, maverick, odd man out, just totally different person. Doesn't fit to any standard cultures that you can say. Serial entrepreneur, investor in Asia and in Africa. Opening an office in the United States. I have 5 businesses, and so the business is diverse. They're old school, classical business, and I have businesses that are basically open that are not a starting time. There is no 10 to 5 mentality or 9 to 5 mentality. Everybody is free to come when they want, but there are structures, so they have to fulfill their tasks. And basically the innovation, COVID, which affected all of us. This is kind of a reset. And now we have to also reset our mind to be able to innovate so we can move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm here to share.
Yeah, exactly. Because let me just tell you that, our field in architecture and engineering and real estate in general is quite, let's say, old-fashioned, right? So prior to COVID, most of the business was made face-to-face. And a lot of the investments and the decision-making wasn't done during these months because of COVID, of course. Also, in parallel to that, a lot of people lost their job, of course, because some project got paused or cancelled. So this is a little bit the environment that we are in, right? So as an entrepreneur, of course, the journey is always very long and there is ups and downs. So the first question that I wanted to ask you is how to embrace failure and how to learn from it, actually, from your experience.
Yeah. So I would like to just share a small story that goes back to 2008.
Okay.
I started an import and export company, which we imported windows from China, Turkey, and Balkan countries, especially from Serbia and Bosnia. And first year was going well. And then what happened? The economic crisis hit. All real estate went bankrupt. There were no projects happening for upcoming 3 years. A lot of people lost their jobs. So the current situation that we are talking now in 2009 was worse.
Yeah.
Because it affected the whole real estate world.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest clients, and this is the mistake that I had, so you learn always from your mistakes. I had the rule 80-20, but I focused not that, but I focused 100% on one company, which was one of the biggest real estate developers in the Netherlands. And then we had a purchase for 100,000 euros, windows, and just slightly a couple of weeks before the delivering, the real estate company called us and said we have to cancel everything because we are not building anything for upcoming 2 years anymore. So the
Okay.
contract went to the garbage. And what
Yeah.
happened? We went bankrupt because we couldn't able to sell the windows because they were tailor made, and therefore we just lost our business.
Yeah.
Learned from that. I hurt myself, and this is kind of a Dutch mentality, maybe. In the Netherlands, you if you go bankrupt or you lose or you fail first time, then you lose kind of. I don't want to say face, but they say just don't try again because it's not your thing.
Yeah.
So I worked for several years in different companies, IBM, Hewitt Packard, and a couple of startups. And what I realized then, I was making other people happy and not myself. So then the moment that I realized that to be able to change, I had to analyze what happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So since the
Exactly.
last um, economic crisis and now, the companies that scaled up usually were companies that were innovative,
Yeah.
companies that went not think outside of a box, but think outside of a building, come up with the
Mm,
solutions that might be as simple. And I'm talking in a building terms because I invest in a real estate. And
yeah.
with people that I talk, usually they come up with the same standard thing that everybody comes with. You come up with a
Yeah.
design, you're looking for an investment, you try to sell as fast as possible before you build. However, now, due to the COVID, you cannot have face-to-face meetings. So one of my companies is IT consulting. So we develop a lot of tools. And what we
Yeah.
created to one of the real estate company, we created a 360 degree experience. So like example, Google View, Street View.
Yeah.
You can go and watch the shops and etc. So what we created now, we created the kind of VR experience that people can already go to in their house, look
Hmm.
around and put some furniture so they can have this experience before even the building is built.
Yeah.
So those kind of innovations, you have to move forward and try to get as much as possible new investors. Investors are also looking, what are the potential? How is the view? What the market looks like in the environment? Is there upcoming trends in the region? So you have to analyze a bit
Yeah.
before being able to innovate. And
Yeah.
every person, every company that has slightly tech related solutions, you're not an old school company anymore. You're just a tech company. The banks
Yeah.
are tech companies.
Yeah.
They are not banks anymore. They have so many solutions for their clients.
Yeah. So it's not
So what's
just
going to be
about,
yours?
yeah, it's not just about innovating the product or the type of building. It's also about innovating in the process and how to get to the client and convince them. So it's about beating competition also throughout the process.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of companies do, they come up with an idea. It's your baby. You created it, so you don't want to share with other people, but at the
Hmm.
same time, you want to sell, so you have to validate. So a lot
Exactly.
of companies, what they do, they spend a lot of money, especially in the real estate, come up with the craziest ideas because they want to make a statement. I am here.
Yeah.
This is my building and you spend so much money, so much energy, and then you realize it's not validated because there are none of them, no company, no government wants to purchase it. So
Yeah.
you're stuck with a lot of lost time, energy, and then it's very difficult to say goodbye to your baby because it's you created it. So
Sure.
therefore you have to be more flexible, and it's a numbers game. I know it's architects and all the creators are they create something where they passionately believe in it, and it's very
Yeah.
difficult to distance yourself and look at it from a business perspective. At the end,
Exactly.
it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
If I cannot sell anything to Julia, she says no thanks, but I'm one more closer to my end goal, so I
Yeah.
will go to the next one. So you have to be innovative to be able to sell, validate, get investors and get the permit and everything so you can be impactful, um, show what you got in a digital, in a tech environment, so it doesn't have to cost you that much money.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's always the problem that I have with my clients because they're very eager to be the one to do the best projects or the highest tower or to maybe revolutionize in terms of architecture. But then they don't think about risks and they don't think about costs and maybe the type of materials is not right, or something. So what we are trying to do at the IBD company is also to make people aware that having a business is also some responsibilities towards the process and towards the client, and try to put the ego aside sometimes, which is not necessarily the easiest, I think.
It's again translated to your child. If you say your child is ugly, you're going to be offended.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I always try to put it that it's tangible, that people can say, "Oh, I understand," because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's Japanese word fugazi. It's just air. It's just you talk about it,
Yeah.
and if you have an idea, you don't put it and you don't validate it, then it's again an idea. You don't take action on it. And in
Exactly.
real estate, what I see as exactly what you said is that people have a great idea. They are scared to share because another competitor might go with the same idea, or
Mhm.
or anything can happen. So they're covering it for them, and then when they come, they expect that people will respond the same way that they feel about it.
Yeah.
So in terms of real estate, the best, if you look at real estate, what you focus on is location, location, location.
Okay.
From business perspective, the changing the word slightly, it's
Mm,
validation, validation, validation. It's
exactly.
not a location related, because
Yeah.
locations might change in a decade, and then one location that might be a ghetto, and in a couple of years it might be the hotspot. Like if you look at
Yeah.
it, an example. I don't want to disrespect, but it's a risk. It's no, it's not. But I just want to show them as an example. I know, Julia, you are thinking between two countries to do business in. So one is the
Mhm.
UAE, Dubai, another one is in New York.
Mhm.
Pardon me. If you look at it in New York, Brooklyn, all the other locations where it was 20, 30 years a bad place to be, now you
Yeah.
see it's booming. Houses, you can get apartments, they are like minimum of 3 million US dollars. And in UAE 25, 30 years ago, it was a desert. And now like people are spending millions and millions to purchase a house. So location might change, but the validation is a key. If you can't get the money from other person to pay for your idea, then it's just an idea.
Yeah.
There
Exactly.
are two things that I would just like to add, Julia, on this one.
Yeah.
There are two things that is abundant in the world, and that's without them we cannot live. So one is gravity, especially if you're real estate. So that's your limit, and the second one is the money. There is a lot of money in the world, and if you have an idea, you have to pitch your idea and find a person that is willing to pay for your idea,
Yeah.
and that's a validation.
That's true. But it comes back to the concept of lean startup, actually.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we think of it that lean startup basically means when you start a company, your business model is going to shift according to the discoveries that you make, and the more contact you have with clients, the more you ask them questions about their needs, then you can shift your business model. But actually, this lean startup can be applied to bigger companies that are, bigger giants, and that right now need to shift a little bit their focus in order to win over the market again, right? um
Absolutely. I would like to give you an experience, not an experience at one of the, how to say this, one of the companies and one of the things that I used from that company and I was very proud of. Nokia. A lot
yeah.
of people, if you are a generation that you are not young, let's say under 20, you will know Nokia very well. I had Nokia 3310, which was a brick. You could just throw it to the wall and it will not break. The
Yeah.
battery that will even take 2 weeks to go empty. You could play Snake on it, and
Yeah.
that was a phone that a lot of market share. Nokia had the biggest market share on that part, but they were stubborn. They were stubborn to change. They were stubborn to innovate. They were stubborn to. They didn't understand that the market is moving very fast, and when they understood that the market moved fast, and they were too late to catch up.
Yeah. True.
and don't be Nokia. I can like blockbusters, the movies that you can I can like go on and on and on and on. The
Yeah, yeah,
innovation is the key.
yeah.
Showing experiences. Example, holidays. I know, Julia, you went to another country now to avoid something, so I don't want to. It's we have a lockdown in the Netherlands, so Julia went to another country just to have a better experience. And but you can also do it now differently. You can also have a VR experience where you're sitting in your house and you can go to Bali. You can
Yeah,
still have the kind of a breeze, kind of a sound and experiences and etc. So the innovation has to be there because the world is as flat as your mobile phone. I mean, this is my world. I can connect, do business, call anybody that I want from my mobile phone.
yeah.
Outsource. You don't you in an architectural world, you don't have the capacity to hire people because you will
Hmm.
have overhead costs and etc. You don't know what the market will do.
Hmm.
Outsource it. You have
Yeah,
countries that have massive potential and low cost. You can basically hire as on demand. So
yeah,
don't worry about it. What the next COVID will come or what kind of crisis we'll have. If you think about the trends and if you focus on innovation, you're going to be ahead of your competitor. You're going to be ahead of your client.
yeah.
And I had a call before we started this live stream. I had a talk with Julia and I asked like, what's your passion? Why do you want to? Why do you do what you do? And then she
Yeah,
said, I want to change the old mentality that the industry has. And to
yeah.
be able to do that, I want to consult and guide the old school mentality thinking to be innovative so they can survive and then can be hundreds of years of company. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I know that I'm gonna say this at the end of this one, but I would absolutely say already now, follow the IBD, sorry, international business development. It's a key because you have to understand what to do. And
Yeah.
she created a podcast where you can listen and motivate and inspire yourself to take action.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I can talk
Well,
hours and hours, Julia, by the way.
yeah, we're gonna go to the second point. I was wondering if people could comment on what we just said, and then we will take some questions also at the
Absolutely.
end. So please like and comment as much as possible, also because it helps other people to then engage. So if you're there, please let us know. There was Basil who was saying that Dubai is selling services and that the VAT is very low. So he is encouraging people to invest there for sure.
Absolutely.
And yeah. And then I wanted to go to thinking outside the box in order to thrive and not be conditioned by the environment. So, this is a deep talk that we had previously.
Yeah.
um, and maybe we can make a little bit of a introduction and summary of what we discussed. You have to know that both Eric and I are, we're born in different countries and grew up with several cultures. So we are big thinkers outside of the box. Therefore, it helps us to help other people to get out of their situation and empower them to do so. So this is one of my favorite questions that we're gonna discuss. Would you like to start on it?
Yeah. It's people tend to look to Julia and I or other crazy people like more like they're too dreamers. They dream too much. They are not realistic. They are not grounded. But if you look at it, the people that were the most innovative, that changed
Yeah,
the world, were the people were the dreamers. Because if you limit yourself by you say, no, I'm born in this culture, I'm a female, I'm a different color, or I have a beard, or I have a different religion, that you are limiting yourself. You are limiting your beliefs and you are limiting your ability. Um, Sky is the limit. There is a limit. I mean, you cannot go above this the clouds with a plane, and you have to pay Elon Musk to be able to travel or across the world.
yeah,
So There are limits, absolutely, but the limits are just between your ears. I mean,
Yeah.
an example, for centuries, I run marathon a year ago, and I did it the full marathon with a small training in 4 hours, 47 minutes, and 47 seconds. It's a coincidence, but that was the um, but then I realized I cried at the finish, and I understood at that moment why people were seeking to improve every time to be able to run. So the toughest, the challenge was to run faster than 2 hours. Not no one in the world did that.
Mm.
And last year, I believe, in a different condition, which with the whole team, there was a guy able to run under 2 hours. That's around 21, 22 kilometers an hour. That's, I believe it's around, like, what is it, 13 miles an hour or something like that. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable that you have to run in 2 hours long. What was
Yeah.
his limit? He had a goal. He wanted to be the first guy in the world to be able to reach that goal. Like most of the athletes, that they have this goal that they want to be the first, the world record, and etc. The only way they're pushing themselves because they believe they're going to be able to reach that,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you have to commit.
Yeah.
And Julia started the live call with saying entrepreneurship is tough. It's not a
Yeah.
straight line. It's gonna be like going back, and then you're gonna think like, I have to leave, and it's not for me, and then other people do not believe in me. They say you are not the entrepreneurial person, and etc. And then you're gonna start believing other people.
Yeah.
And the
Exactly.
reason that other people will say you are not going to be able to do that is because they don't believe that they can do it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
innovation is the same. Thinking outside of the box is the same. If you think bigger than you are currently, then you're going to be able to reach that. So
Yeah.
it's just an example. One of the guys that I admire really, Elon Musk, he had a vision that he wanted to become an astronaut. So he understood that he didn't have the physics to become an astronaut. So what was the second best thing that he chose for?
Yeah.
He just went against the United States, NASA, and he created something that is tangible, and in a couple of years and maybe in a decade, that humanity can be able to use it. So
Yeah.
it's thinking big,
Of
having an
course.
impact. An example, I love the guy, I forgot his name, who said, "Come to UAE. It's a low VAT. Invest in the country."
Yeah.
I mean,
Basil. Yeah.
thank you, Basil. I mean, the king of UAE had the vision 30 years ago. Then he said, "This place is gonna be booming."
Mm.
Obviously, every star has to be aligned straight. Like that.
Exactly.
That's the thing. You have to create luck. But the only way that you create luck is when preparations meets opportunity. So if
Yeah.
you prepare yourself for the future, and then there's something happens, you are prepared, and that's your luck. That's why
Exactly.
Zoom is booming. That's why Netflix is booming. That's why all the digital companies are booming.
Yeah, and it's also about I think also for people who are looking for a job. You told me that you also give a talk for that. Um, I mean, everyone that I've been talking to, they are like, yeah, but companies are not really hiring, or like there is other people looking for jobs, and there is more competition. When actually you only need one job and one company. You don't need 1,000. You just need one opportunity. So that's also important to take in mind, is that people straight away limit themselves by thinking about other people and how other people could be better than them and so on, and they don't end up sending the CV because they're like, oh, it's already lost, right? So tell
It's
me
it's
about
it's
your
funny.
thoughts.
It's funny that you say that. It's one of the things that boils myself when I feel one thing that is totally different. Um, Innovation, it became very easy to take action. So you can send the resume and everything. And there are different way how people will send their resume. Men will bluff and try to do as much as possible to get the job, and female will tend to say, I'm not the fit. I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna look for another company. That said, I believe there are so many people applying for a job online, and you only see the 30% that are available online. To be able to be different and to be able to be visible, I
Mm,
say I have like 82 hours challenge for you.
Yeah.
Upcoming 82 hours, your job will be to get a job. Again, your job will be to get a job. That's going to be full-time work, and it's going
Yeah.
to be in 82 hours. And you have to fix it. What you're going to do, you're going to call every day. You're going to send in a resume. What I usually do, I don't call, I don't send. When what I do is I print my resume and I go to the companies myself. I take the whole day off and go to companies to myself, and I go to the office and I say, hey, I'm looking for a job and I'm looking for the hiring manager. Oh, I don't have an hiring manager. No worries. Can you please call the HR manager that I want to talk with her? And just you say, hey, I'm looking for a job. I'm hungry and I want to, I know that I can be this and I can be that and I can be that. Give me an opportunity. So that what you can do is by going and taking action. A lot of people are comfortable. A lot of people are comfortable with your situation.
Mm,
If you want to have a different result, you have to take different actions.
exactly. True.
If your temperature, room temperature is 18 degrees Celsius and it feels cold,
Yeah.
you have to take the action to turn the temperature above, and you also have to accept the consequences where your bill at the end of the year will be higher.
Yeah. For sure. But
Take action.
it's always about innovation, and also reinventing yourself always comes when you're in a crisis, unfortunately. So you kind of have to like really in deep shit, sorry my French, that's when you have no other choice but to go out there and do it, right? So then there
So,
is
so
no
I,
fear of failure anymore, because it's the only way to sort the
so
situation.
I have a very good example on that one. Change is difficult. We as a human beings are creatures of habits. So
Yeah.
change is difficult. So
Yeah.
when a person comes up with an idea, like an example, auto
Yeah.
vehicle in US, 100 some year and some years ago, when they came up with the automobile on a street, and the government said there has to be some regulations.
Yeah.
So as I understood, there had to be 3 meters before the car, there had to be a guy walking with a red flag warning the other people that the car was coming. And in the car there had to be two mechanics, one and two mechanics, to um, help the car when it doesn't work. I
Yeah.
mean, people are scared of innovation, but now we have electric cars thanks to Tesla. We have so many fast cars that they can go so fast in a second.
Yeah.
So innovation takes time, but the courage to take the first step, that's a big.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that, that's going to change your position in a market.
Yeah.
And if you say in an organization, guys, for next year we have to change, people will be shocked. They're not going to say, yo, yes, let's go, let's take action. So to be
Yeah.
able to do that, you have to share your vision. If you
Yeah.
share a vision that has an impact, people will follow you. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter where. So you have two kind of bosses. So you have a boss that say you have to do that, and you have a leader that shows what the impact of innovation will be. So
Yeah.
you're going to be that crazy guy or that crazy lady, as Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, and so many other entrepreneurs that took
Yeah.
the leap and just thought bigger than themselves.
Exactly. We have a question from Basil again. He
Absolutely,
says,
Basil. Hi.
I'm going to companies and give my CV, but I feel like I'm a beggar. Um, so I have an answer for him, but I'm curious to know yours.
So, Basil, do you want from me an honest answer and without any censors, or do you want me to give you a politically correct answer?
If I can choose, I would go for the direct answer, the Dutch
So
way.
the Dutch. It's okay. Let me. Hopefully, you will not feel offended. But what the person that as you are assuming that other people are seeing you as a beggars. After when you spoke with them, they are not gonna bring bread or money on your bank or on table or your bank account. Don't give a fuck about your feelings at that moment. Your goal is to get a job. How you do it, it doesn't matter. So you
Yeah.
have to put your foot between the door so it stays open and you can show your skills, because that's a sale. It's a sale. You have to sell yourself. Yourself. Do you believe in yourself? Yes. Do you believe in your product that you're selling? What you're going to say is, where's my money?
Yeah.
How I'm going to be able to gain and support you and become an asset to your company with my skills. And if
Yeah.
they say, yeah, yeah, you don't have the right skills and etc., what I would say, give me 2 months of your time, teach me in your company. I'm going to work for free, and I'm going to overachieve. And at the end of the 2 months, if you don't like me, we shake hands and we move further.
Yeah.
But for that 2 months, what will I need from you is connections and the skills that I can learn.
Sure.
Because connections are more valuable at that moment than the money that you're going to be able to gain in the 2 months.
Yeah.
So, my friend, in especially in UAE, um, you will not have an excuse to not get a job. I was born in Arabic country in Libya. I lived there for 15 years, so I know the cultural differences. I know how people tend to look when you come like be a beggar. But trust me, at the end of the line, you're not going to see them anymore. And if you be polite, you're going to be able to sell them in the future something. But
Yeah.
don't say, I don't want to talk to you because you disrespected me. At the end of the line, you need money in your bank account. You need money that you can survive. And when other people say something disrespectful and etc., I don't care. A couple of years ago, I cared, but now I don't care. There is
Yeah.
one of my friends, a speaker, he said there is a rule 18, 40, 60. When you're 18, you always think about what other people's feelings are about you. So you're
Yeah.
constantly changing yourself, right? Being as Julia and I said, we are both as a Gemini twins. So we are kind of a chameleon sometimes. So we try to adjust and fit in other societies and cultures and etc. But it can also be a dangerous situation for us because then we lose our true self,
Yeah.
and therefore it's very difficult. But when you're 40, I'm almost 40 in 2 years, you don't give a fuck about other people's feeling. You know what you like and you know what you want to achieve. When you're
Yeah.
60, then you realize that nobody gives a fuck about you. So you have 20 years time, for me at least. I know what I can do and I can be helpful to other people. So I'm going to be able to contribute and hopefully help other people to grow, because that's going to give me fulfillment.
Exactly. Yeah, for me, what I was gonna answer Basil is that instead of caring of what other people think, because yeah, you think, okay, yeah, I'm a beggar, they're gonna see me like this. Try to focus on really believing on your skills and what you can bring to the company, because that's extremely important. So it's always business when you send a CV. So you need to look at the company and research it and really try to tap on to the values or the projects that you could contribute to. Because then when you go and give your CV, you can pitch to them in a certain way that will make it interesting for them, um, to react and give you a chance, and indeed maybe try out for free for a few weeks or a few months. And indeed, the connections are something that no one can ever steal from you. So if you make connections throughout, or if you learn from your mistakes when you do this contact with them, the next one will be better, right? Like,
Absolutely. It's the key. The key is networking.
yeah,
Networking is connecting to other people. One thing that I would like to, really from my heart, I would like to just say, I appreciate your vulnerability by opening your thought on online where everybody can hear and
yeah,
listen. So I
yeah,
appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I would like to add one small, like an example. I'm just trying to think outside of a box. If you're like in Dubai, how would I be able to gain an opportunity to get an entrance in somewhere? So if you have an Instagram account, you're going to be able to look most luxurious, fancy locations. There are online there are locations in Dubai, and try to find their Instagram account. And usually, you will see people taking picture on their locations. So you know those people will have money, will have connections, What I will say, give them like advice by saying, hey, you're looking good, or I like the bag, and etc. What you're building is you're building a rapport. And with Instagram, you have these DMs. You can just connect directly. You don't need to have a phone number of a person. So if I like um, Bush Khalifa, let's give an example. You follow that. You know, people to be able to have a one night rest there, you're going to pay at least 10,000 euros or US
Yeah.
dollars. So if you follow Bush Khalifa, you will see people posting pictures, and just follow them and just say, hey, I'm looking for a job, and I'm looking. Do you have anything, or what are you doing? I want to learn from you. That's even more um, direct to a person by saying, hey, I saw you're doing this, and I search your name on LinkedIn. I see you're doing massively impactful things. I would like to learn from you. Do you have a moment for coffee? Or I will buy you a lunch. You can choose your place. I want to prick your brain for 15 minutes. Do you think if you call me like that and you say, hey, I would like to offer you a lunch, for that lunch, I can eat and talk for 15 minutes or half an hour. I would love to do that. So when people will have to meet 3 times a day, especially in Arabic countries, if you know that on Friday you're not able to do that, but then other days you can. So understand the culture, understand the environment, think outside of a box. Digitalization helped us a lot. So, I mean, being able to reach out to each other, it's very easy. LinkedIn message, Instagram DM, TikTok, I don't know, I'm not there. But the other ones, Facebook, you can reach out to people very easily. I don't hear you.
Sorry, I muted
Yeah,
myself for a second.
no worries.
I said that LinkedIn is actually a key aspect right now because everybody is in front of their computers and working from home. So LinkedIn is actually the social media platform that has taken more value in all these months. So I would definitely suggest, especially for Basil, who says he's 55, to search the companies that he has the same values with, and really try to find out who are the decision makers that he could contact, and not just send the CV. I wouldn't suggest to send the CV, but really, as you said, try to tease them to trigger a lunch or a meeting. If people receive directly the CV, they are not usually interested, they just turn it down. But if you
Yeah,
send, yeah, but it's true. If you send a message to connect and to invite them for lunch to talk about collaborating together, that puts you in a different position. And not as a position of someone that wants directly something from someone. So LinkedIn, I think it's really a big deal right now. So I
the
would
only thing
def-
that I would like to add on the on LinkedIn thing, I am receiving on daily basis. I don't want to brag, but it's more than 20 messages. Yeah, no, I really mean it. It's like my second email now. I'm just
yeah,
scrolling, and the challenge that I have,
it's the filter.
90% of them, 90% are usually selling like, we do this, we do that. How can I help you?
Yeah.
You're just trying to push it on my face. And I'm not a person that I'm gonna block you outside and etc. So I'm still keeping you in it. But if you like tend to do that every day, then I'm gonna block you. It's just it is.
No,
But I
indeed,
don't
that's
see often. I don't see often other way around. I don't see often people just saying, "I love your post. I love what you're doing. I love yours. I saw your company that you had purchased this or you sold this." Just get to know the company. Just get some information. And if you see that person posting something, let's say birthday party or a purchase of something or new employee, just say, hey, I value how you do business with your employees, how you communicate to your employees, how you share. Just show honest side, and then you will have, step by step, you will have an interaction, because the other person, when you have a lot of like I don't, how to say this, when you politely say, I like you, what you're doing, and etc., and there will be a moment that other way around, the person will ask you, hey, what are you doing? Tell me about
yeah,
yourself. And then you
mm,
can just say, hey, I'm now between jobs and I'm looking for an opportunity, and I would love to be able to have a coffee with you.
yeah,
And basically what you're doing is you're building rapport, and then you will have, that person will have a feeling that they know each other, and it
yeah.
will be much easier.
Yeah, it's all about human contact at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. So please send if you have more questions, please send it so we can answer it at the end. We have one more question to go through. It's about the future of innovation and trends, and how innovation is not about reinventing the wheel, right?
Hmm.
So I wanted your intake on how you see, well, we talked about it already, of course, but how you see the future of innovation, not only in real estate, but also with the impact of COVID, how things are going to change, of course. I know it's a difficult question, but I'm just wondering your opinion on this because
So,
there is.
so, so, um, we had a talk before we went online. I said there, people are cannot wait to have networking events, conferences, to be able um, to mingle.
Yeah,
We are wired in our brains. I don't know what you believe, but at least according to evolution, it's more than 2 million. We are wired to be in a tribe. That's why we also survived. There are two reasons. One is because of tribalness, and the second one is because we thought negatively.
yeah,
That's the key what I'm saying here. We thought negatively, because if you are cautious and if you think there will be let me say it like this: you're not going to walk to the in the bushes and you'll say, oh, that's a nice flower, and then the tiger comes to you, and then you're going to be dead. So therefore you're always cautious. You're going to just watch there if there's something is going to happen that's going to be bad to you. And
yeah,
tribalness, if you're with a group, then you're going to be able to survive.
yeah,
So now I'm just saying it like this: in a Western world, we are now safe, relatively safe. So we are conditioned to think negatively because of the other stuff that can happen in the world. But now you have to change it a bit. You have to think differently. You have to think more um, motivational. You have to think like positively. You have to think to the future what the possibilities are, and therefore the trends that they happen in the past, you can basically look at them and just innovate it a bit, and you're going to be able to move forward. Um, um, how to say this phone. I vividly remember a video a couple of years ago that I saw a mobile phone when in the Netherlands there was an interview on the street by asking people, "Hey, what do you think about mobile phone? Are you going to purchase it?" Like most of the
yeah,
people said, "I don't like mobile phone. Why should will people like call me any moment, any time? They can send me a letter. They can call me between 7 and 10, etc." But
yeah,
20 years later, I mean, you go to the restroom with the phone, you
exactly.
sleep. It's according to the study, there was like 98% of the people will have their mobile phone in a reach of 60 centimeters. So
Yeah,
it's like you're on your arm reach. So your world is become very small. So innovation doesn't have to be like you have to what the name of it, reinvent the wheel, but you can put something add-ons.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I love the lady that came up with the idea with the Spanx. Is that an innovation, or is that
mm,
something that was created about necessity, or was that created about an idea? We have socks, but if I put it up to here, then I have something new.
yeah,
She didn't reinvent socks, but she reinvented, you put it something different, and
yeah,
she made something nice of it. And now she has a
exactly.
multi-billion dollar business.
Yeah. There was
And,
actually a documentary on Netflix about that, about
really,
innovation. And there was a medical researcher that used a toy that she used to use like when she was a kid, that was about drawing a shape, and then you would put it in the microwave and it would shrink really tiny.
wow.
And she used that because they were trying to create some kind of track for the vaccine to go through, and they managed to draw it quite big and then put it in the microwave, and that shrank, and that was the innovation behind it. So it's always about, and for me it revolutionized my life. Like when I was at uni and doing my master in architecture, everyone wanted to do a master project that was different from everyone.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
ego, right? Like And my tutor, Philip Oldfield, I don't know if he's watching, but if he is, hi, told me, guys, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Try to take inspiration from other buildings and kind of innovate from there. How can you use it differently? How can you build a story behind it? And that's what sells, actually, more than something completely out of, the sky, and that is completely different. Same with the phone. The iPhone didn't invent the phone again. They just took the phone and made it better. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
it's
we mean
it's
with
it's. I
reinventing.
agree with you, and I love your story because that's exactly what it is. It's I saw um, a documentary that there were people were trying to mimic what's happening with the animals to be able to use a new kind of drone. So
Yeah,
they're studying the animals, the nature, the biology of the animals, how they fly, and they try to mimic it to a drone. So you can come up
exactly.
with your big visualization, come up with the new ideas, or you can just copy what's existing and make it a better thing. Um, I mean, Tesla is the first one with electric car. Other companies are copying them. They're making it slightly better, putting their own sauce on it, and we will have more electric cars in the world. Um,
Yeah,
Innovation. I mean, you can use something from the nature. I see there is in Amsterdam. There's a whole hotel built with bamboo
yeah,
um, woods. So you have a look around you, or what I will usually say is to when I have with my friends a discussion about it, how to innovate, how to think about the future. I will say take a huge A3 paper, three different color pen, and then let your phone, let all the distractions at the home, go to
hmm,
the woods or go to the beach where you don't have any distractions and stay there for 4 hours and write everything that comes up in your mind. So what you basically do is you reflect yourself on a mirror and you have to come up with an idea.
yeah,
And you don't do anything, just 4 hours long. You have to write something down. It can
yeah,
be like, I want to be, it can be also the ego thing. It's also okay because although we say ego, but it can be that if you want to be recognized for your achievements, it's okay. If
yeah,
that's your goal, then it's that okay. If your goal is to become multi-millionaire, to have 50 million in your bank account, that's okay. Because
yeah,
don't let other people say it's funny or it's silly and etc. That's your goal. Every goal is okay because Vicious Lakiani, one of the no, he's the founder of Mind Valley. He said there are so many bullshit rules in the world.
yeah,
That's how we says cultural rules. You're not allowed to go outside, etc. There are so many rules that we created, humans
yeah,
created, and
yeah,
and therefore that's basically what you get. I think I saw that today in a small video. I forgot his Matthew McConaughey said,
yeah,
"Men, humans created the roof, not the roof only for your house, but also your roof that is not visible. So the only way to be able to penetrate that is to reach the roof and then say, it's not enough. I want to go to
yeah,
the next level."
yeah,
So most of the people will never even realize that there is a roof, and most of the even people will be not willing to touch the roof because it's too scary, it's too dark, you don't know what's happening, and it's your comfort zone. So the innovation, reinventing the wheel, um, people that invented that first flight 100 years ago, they had a vision. They didn't reinvent what they didn't invent what wasn't possible. They just saw what birds were flying and other things were happening. So the sky wasn't the limit;
yeah,
it was possible. So they mimicked and they created something. And
yeah,
and to come back for well, when we started with our first question, we innovate and we change when something happens bad.
yeah,
So when you hit the wall, I mean, if you look at it from the first airplane till now, how many people passed away to be able to make it more safer? With the
yeah,
cars is the same. How many people had to be dead in a car accident to be able to have uh, all the security stuff that we need?
yeah,
So there has to be exactly, there has to be a wall, there has to be a trauma that is so big that people have to change.
Exactly. I have the same situation with a lot of architects and engineers that I coach to do their startup, because they're very used to be employed, to be
Yeah.
behind the computer and have just the task to create. And the problem with that, and that's a very big problem in our industry, is that people try to create, but actually you can only create in a certain structure.
Hmm.
That's my belief. Um, Structure. What do I mean by that? You need a time to brainstorm, like you said,
Hmm.
brainstorm ideas and really put down everything that you can think of and then categorize it into your timetable or into categories of priorities. Then the times to do what you said you would do in the brainstorm. But there is also a moment where you should be seeking for inspiration. And that
Hmm.
can be during your free time, listening at podcasts, watching some documentaries. And it doesn't need to be specific to your field, but it's just seeing other fields and other perspective can always inspire you to do something else. And if you don't have these three elements, for me, you're just in your head trying to create and you will get frustrated. So the right balance is really brainstorming, doing, and seeking for inspiration in order to be the most creative that you can be, of course.
Hmm. Yeah. There are a lot of people that are not creative.
Mhm.
There are a lot of people that they love security, to have paycheck to paycheck every month. That
Exactly.
gives you a rest, because then you can calculate how many times you can go on holiday, when you can buy a car, etc.
Yeah.
We are not all the same.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
and there are a lot of entrepreneurs that take too much risk, and they go only bankrupt to bankrupt to bankrupt to bankrupt. Or there are a lot of some entrepreneurs, they believe they didn't lose the election. So it's how you look at it.
Yeah.
So so entrepreneurship doesn't come at that moment. It's built slowly by slowly. You will
Yeah.
have this idea a years before, and you have an idea, but then you let it go, and then you will see something. You say, "Oh, I can change that," and then you let it go, and then one day you realize, I'm now at the point that I have to. Let's a tipping
Pivot. Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
and then that's the moment that you realize, do I want to take the leap, the chance, the risk to
Hmm.
not know when do I have an income, do not know if I'm going to be able to have a free time, to not know if I'm going to be able to work 4 hours a week. Um,
Yeah.
I can just say you one thing. For me, there are two reasons why I chose to become an entrepreneur. First one, the biggest one, is the the choice to take the decision for anything, the freedom for choice. Because when I worked in a company, I didn't have that. I always had to listen to the other person. And the second one is obviously one, money.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, you have a lot of stress, you are not healthy, you are depressed, you have to pay your bills. And if you work in a company, your income will usually be almost the same every year. There will be slightly up and down, but the inflation goes sky high every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The car is much more expensive. The housing are much more expensive. I mean, in United States, in San Jose, California, you cannot even, if you're not making a million a year, you cannot even purchase a house.
Yeah.
So the times are changing, and therefore you have to take the action. If you are not comfortable with your situation, you have to take action.
Yeah.
But if you are comfortable with the situation, that you like working for other people, you like to be intrapreneur, so you're
Yeah.
going to be able to put impact. Because I know a lot of great entrepreneurs in Google, Amazon, all the companies, that they have the opportunity to build in a safe environment to come up with the new ideas. You're also an entrepreneur because you take the risk to lose face. You take the risk to be laughed out. You take the risk that you're going to be fired because you screwed up.
Yeah.
That's also taking a risk, but you're taking it in a much more safe environment. That's also okay. You have to know what your calling is. What do you want to achieve? What kind of fulfillment you want to have?
Yeah.
I came from from a family, no entrepreneurs. My parents said you have to become a doctor, study, 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 become a doctor. And and I was the only one that didn't become a doctor. So I kind of a black sheep of the family, like the whole family.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one that took the risk to become an entrepreneur, and it wasn't, and it still isn't straight line. And it's also not that. It's like going up, down, on, up, down, and maybe sometimes coming back and instead realizing like, did I make the right choice?
Mm.
But you have to turn the page and then move forward,
Yeah.
because you and only you are writing your own story. If
Yeah.
you are stuck in your page, you're not going to be to innovate. If you're stuck in the previous page, you're never going to be finish. You're able to finish your book. And if you want to live something back, live something not back, but to the word, like to your family, or you want to be recognized, or you want to be, I don't know, anything that you want to have an impact, then
Yeah.
you have to finish your book.
Yeah. Sure. I completely agree. Yeah. Um, I think, yeah, a lot of people, and I can understand it, struggle a lot with how people think of them and how the family thinks of them. In my case, it was the same. I mean, when I told my parents at Christmas that I started my own company and it was all done and there was nothing to think about anymore, they were like, "Yeah, but okay, you're not gonna marry first and have kids and." Like it's also like social pressure, of course, that comes in. But as you said, it's about your story and about your purpose and what you want to achieve in life. So regardless whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee, the important is that you wake up every day for your own purpose and you try to make it happen. Of course, for us it was entrepreneurship, but I'm talking also for other people that maybe are employed and are trying to communicate their value and their purpose through their job. That's also very important to do every day. But the hardest thing to do, and I think that's what happens when you're 25, 30, is to understand what is your purpose. I think that's also
I think what this is my personal opinion. One of the biggest bullshit rule that I believe it's bro. It's that let's say use an example, United States. You are allowed to drive your car, get your driver's license at the age of 15. In some states, you're allowed to have your firearm licensing at age of 14. You're not allowed to drink alcohol until the 21st, but you have to take the decision which university you have to take. You have to know at the age of 17, 18 what your future will be.
yeah,
You are green. And I didn't know what I wanted to do.
yeah,
I was lost. I just followed what other people said. You have to study, so I studied. And then
yeah,
what happened? I finished an education, um, and didn't do anything with the education. Nothing. I didn't
yeah,
do anything in that industry. And
yeah,
so the core in this case, what I want to mention is the only way to be able to learn is by falling down, making
yeah,
mistakes, standing up,
okay,
moving forward.
yeah,
There is
yeah,
a saying that they say you can only steer a car, even if you drive 1 mile an hour, you can
mhm,
steer a car as
yeah,
far as you drive. You don't
exactly,
have to go fast, but you can always reach your end destination if you have a clear GPS. I mean, if I now would like to go to Paris now, I can follow the what's on the highway. The boards are on the highway by saying that's Paris, but I can also just put it in the GPS. I know when I want to achieve, and the GPS will say estimated time of arrival will be 6 7 hours. That's exactly what you do with your business. You have an idea, that's your start, that's your goal, what you want to achieve, and you have to reverse calculate how much, what do you have to do to be able to do that. Let's say an example. You want to be a millionaire. Okay, how much money do you have to do a day to sell to be able to have 1 million in your bank account?
yeah,
There are 52 weeks. From that 52 weeks, you only work 5 days a week.
yeah,
So effectively, you work 220 days a year, including excluding vacations, holidays, and anything that you have. Let's say effectively 200 days a year. That's a
Yeah.
consulting hour days a year. How many how many products do you have to sell to be able to get a million? So you
Yeah.
reverse calculate. So from 1 million minus divided by 200, then you have your number that you have to sell every day to be able to reach your goal.
Yeah.
Have a vision, reverse calculate it, and start working on it.
Yeah. For sure. Oh, we're gonna conclude on this. I think this is quite.
Absolutely.
I think we have just one question, and then we will stop here. A question from Sharon.
Hi,
She
Sharon.
says, "Thanks for the suggestions on the human proactive approach. I think people are in nature afraid to be rejected. I have personally gone through a few interviews. It felt at first positive, but was rejected and did not know why. What's your opinion and approach on dealing with rejection in any ways, projects or
So,
job interviews?"
Shannon, I love the question. Thank you. Thank you for being again vulnerable as a previous question. It's um, this is a I don't want to say it's kind of a fun fact. There was a research made a couple of years ago, the top 10 biggest fears of a human being as a person. Number one was public speaking. Number one was public speaking. Number two was death.
Yeah,
So you tend to fear more rejection than death.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then I started to realize and I started to understand why this happened. Again, I come back to the tribalness. If you were rejected back in the days in Africa, if you were rejected from your tribe, you will not survive in your own. So
mm,
we are biologically wired to be tribal, to be feel safe, to not get this rejection because they were going to say no. They say no to you because you came there, you open your heart and you say, I want to work in your company. And you did your work, you understand the company, you did the research, and you wanted to, you gave your ideas about what you want to do, and then they say no to you, or they just don't respond, and then you're
yeah,
stuck with it. That's one of the awful moments that I had my first sales career that I started. I was calling to people and trying to pitch, and they will say no, and it felt so hard because they said no to me.
I know.
And what happened is like I was like, why? I can help your life, change your life, but you say no to me. So then I started to doubt myself and etc. And then one time I had one of the sales trainers that I had. He said, Eric, it's a numbers game. You will have on average is a law of average. You have number 100 phone calls. There will be two yeses. The only thing that you don't know if it's that first two or somewhere in the middle or somewhere at the last. So he teach me to have it as a fun way. When somebody says no, thank you, I will reach out and later on, thank you, have a wonderful day. And you're one call closer to your end result. And an interview and rejection. So I have how to say this. So the 82 hours of getting a job, I have this kind of, I don't want to say it's a full coaching thing or a training. I usually have one-on-one a call, and then I try to give some advices. So one of the advice that I can give is the key to be able to get a job as fast as possible is building rapport.
Mm,
If you Google building rapport, the term that will come back is mirror. If I mirror Giulia, then I'm going to have a rapport that we feel that we know each other. The reason that you have, when you're in love, you have this click moment. They say,
yeah,
oh, I love that person. I don't know. I saw that person and I'm instantly in love. What was it? If you just go back, what was it? It was because you were in the same level, because you say, oh, we understand each other. We are at the same wavelength.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and that's basically mirroring. If you
yeah,
want to get a partner, now we cannot go to the pub, but go to the pub and mirror a person for 10 minutes and go to that person and say, hey, I want to say hi.
yeah,
See how that person is going to respond
yeah,
because you are in the same way. So if you have, for instance, an interview and you sit in front of one person, that's much easier. When a person goes like this, don't go directly like this, just go slightly and put your hands together, because that's what that person is doing, is closing himself or herself. And then you can also mirror that by doing like this, or putting your hands together, or doing something slightly different that also gives you a body language that closes yourself. When somebody scratches on his neck or like leans back, try to do slightly like that. When a person puts his leg above each other, wait for a couple of minutes and do it the same, and see how that will change um, your connection with that person. And
Yeah.
one of the tricks that I will use, I can almost guarantee some of you will do this in 5 minutes. I can guarantee some of you, and you're gonna laugh about it.
Yeah.
When I scratch now my nose, you're gonna scratch your nose in 5 minutes. Do you know why? Because we are synchronized. You
Yeah.
understand what we are talking about it. I know Julie is now thinking about it. I know you, some of you on a video are thinking about
Yeah.
it. And after the call or during the call, you're gonna scratch the same place that I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's mirroring, and it's what you're doing is monkey see, monkey do. Is you want to basically be one. And when you're being a one, then they're going to be able to have the person that says, I don't know what, but that person is fitting in our culture very well.
Yeah. But it's also about, if I can add one more thing for
Absolutely.
sure, is it's also about presenting why it would be an opportunity for him or her to hire
Yeah.
you, because that's something that we miss out on a lot. We talk a lot about our portfolio, our experience, etc., etc., but try to find out prior to the interview what project or which quality he could benefit or she could benefit from, because I think that's where it's also about business at the end of the day.
It's a
So
sale. You have to
exactly.
close the sale.
Yeah.
It's if I
Yeah.
if I say to you, let's say I'm not qualified, not I have some of the qualifications, but not 100%.
Yeah.
Then I will just slightly say, what is your average onboarding process? If that's process, let's say it takes 6 months, then you can basically say, okay, I'm willing to cut it in half. And in that 3 months, I want to learn the skills that I'm missing now. Would you hire me?
Exactly.
So, what you're basically offering him or her in this case is that you're going to be able to be productive and 100% committed to the company in half of the time than an average.
Exactly.
Think outside of a box and
Yeah.
come up with the ideas what they, because they are struggling, they want to understand if you're the right match. Because the key thing when I hire as a hiring person is I want to know how much time it's going to cost me, which is money, to onboard you and to be able to fit in a culture. Because if I have to let you go in 6 months, it's going to cost me twice as much to hire another one.
Yeah.
So to be able to let me feel comfortable by saying, like, I hate when people here in the Netherlands say, can I get already a full-time contract? Why? Because you didn't prove anything yet. I mean, if you say I'm going to work for you 6 months and then I need then a full contract, again, I can be 6 months very good and then be an asshole for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But if you offer it the other way around by saying, hey, I know your contracts are 6 months, I'm going to do that in 3 months. If you're not happy in 3 months, then you can say you're allowed to go away.
Yeah.
Just be differently, because most of the people will ask about the money, will ask about what kind of contracts and etc. But come up with a different solution to them by say, hey, I know you're offering me 6 months contract, but I want to prove myself in 3 months.
Exactly.
What kind of agreements can we do?
Yeah. Perfect. I think, yeah, indeed, it's about beating the competition and thinking outside the box. There is nothing, especially right now. I mean, whether you're in a company or getting hired, or if you're a startup, it's about thinking outside of the box to seduce clients and employers to take you on board. So, thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, I would like to add one small thing before letting go, is letting myself go, by the way, is a lot of people say you have to be different and etc. I mean, how many social media channels are there?
Yeah,
In the core, it's social media. You communicate with each other. How many IT consulting companies are there? How many coaching companies are there? I mean, another one. When a person says, "Oh, the clothing market is so busy, so noisy," every week there's another person coming up with a new brand.
yeah,
So don't let other people discourage you to start something what you wanted to start, because
exactly.
there is a lot of people that will still buy your product or services.
Yeah,
So when you go tonight after this, go asleep. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you say, "It's my day today to rock," and then you start.
Yeah, completely agree. Thank you so much, Eric, for being here. From
Absolutely. And as I'm going to follow you on your social media platforms and absolutely on a podcast, because I listen every morning to podcast, and I am
Okay,
going to listen to you, and I will highly encourage you guys also listening to a podcast that will improve your mindset day by day. If you're not ready yet, then you're going to be ready in the future.
yeah,
You're, they say, what they do they say? Um, the mentor will be ready when the student is ready.
yeah.
So listen to her and empower yourself to change.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you
of
very much,
course,
Julia. Appreciate it.
if anyone wants to follow you on LinkedIn, you post some amazing posts as well every day, which are super inspiring. So please check Eric Vernick on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you very
Uh,
much. Appreciate it a lot.
and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening and
You too.
take action tomorrow. Just take action.
Sounds good. Thank you so
Bye bye.
much. Bye.